So recently I've seen a lot of the good photographers on YouTube doing this kind of infrared camera conversion. Well, before we begin doing any of that, please, if you cannot afford to lose this camera that you might follow on this video, don't do it. Because there's a 90% chance or risk involved that this camera will never work again. That's a fair warning before we begin. Now, infrared photography has been around for quite a while, and yes, there are filters for big cameras, know that. I wanted to test it with my Sony W800 just to see how far can I go if I can remove the infrared filter or blocker and take it from there. But before I begin, I would like to do a few markings. Right here, for example, this is the front of the camera, right? We will draw the front of the camera right here. I'm gonna mark where the screws are on the front, as you see, just so I know where I'm putting them after I'm done. There's one right here. Is there anything on top? No. There's two on the bottom right here. And I'm just gonna put front right there. So this is the front of the camera. So as you see, just make sure you're taking them all out. There's nothing here. So let me put the back of the camera, which would be the front in this case, just to make sure there's no other screws that we don't see, any hidden screws, and it looks like we are good to go. And when we open it inside under this front, I'm gonna do another square here to mark the screws, and I'm gonna put this front inside, as you see right there, so we don't lose track. I'm gonna take these screws out and put them exactly on these points. I know it sounds weird, but if it happened before that I lost screws, well, I may lose them again. So just to make sure. Okay, one screw down, and as we said, it goes on its tiny circle right there, just so you keep track. And as you see, the two screws here on the side will come off too. They're usually the same size, but I've opened cameras before that literally in the same camera I had 15 different types of screws. I'm not gonna say the name of that camera, but I did not appreciate working on it at all, and I did not like it, and to this day I remember it as the worst repair I've done. The repair went successfully, but the worst for me mentally. It messes up with your head really bad. Okay, so now this part is done. Just make sure there's no screws inside that you are not seeing or skipping. So now to detach this part from the body, there are two ways that we can go, and both ways could go wrong. So now let's just try to pry it open. Usually I'll try the small first idea, then I can go with brute force if it doesn't work. So, well, as I said in the beginning, I can afford to lose this camera. That is why I don't mind doing this. So if something goes wrong, you know what I did wrong, so you don't do it in your camera. This is, by the way, becoming a thing now, this Sony, to be used as a so-called street photography. I don't know if you guys heard, I made a video on this camera actually before. I'll probably put the link somewhere. And you see, okay, there's no ribbons here. Just always make sure the ribbons, those are quite a problem. And I'll put it here on the side. Now we have to mark where those screws are on the second rectangle that we made. Okay, so just make note of the screws. There's one here, one here, one here, and one here. Let's put the circles there. So the screen is here. There's one screw here, one here, and one here. This is the screen, just so we keep good track for our own selves. And we keep ourselves sane. Okay, I don't see other screws here, visually at least so far. Let's take these out and see where it goes from there. Okay, and as you see, there's a ribbon here that goes right in there. We're gonna detach that real quick. Let's see if it's a pull or lift. Looks like it's one of those pulls, so we will pull it. You have to be extremely careful because you can pull these and it might be the last time you pull on it. Okay, it is out. Those are right there. Now there's another screw right under it, as you see, and I'm gonna mark this one under now with red right here. Okay, now we have these two screws on the side here. We cannot forget. Okay, corner top and corner bottom right here. So now let's see what we're dealing with. So we don't rip anything apart, we don't kill the machine. We have 2 screws right here. I'm gonna take them just as a matter of precaution. I'm gonna mark them with red because they're under, as we said. So I keep a mental mark on them and a visual one. Because all we need is to get to that sensor. I'm not interested in anything else because the camera works and we are just doing this for fun. And we just like to rip the camera to never work again. What could go wrong with that idea? Let's see how this comes off without being ripped apart. Okay, this is just for the battery door. There's only one ribbon looks alike and right here. And let's find out how this one comes out. Is it a pull? It looks like it might be a pull, but we don't want to risk too much. Yep, it is a pull. That's what it was. Okay, so now our sensor is right under here. Whew, let's see what we can do with that. Do we need to take this out or not? Definitely we need to take this ribbon out. These are just legs. There's 3 screws right here that we might take. And I think that's our sensor. That's all we need. Let's take those 3 screws. Now, in here, I'm going to make a red circle to signify the sensor and where those screws are. Right there. This stuff is really small and tedious, so you got to be extremely patient working with tiny electronics. If you got no patience for that kind of stuff, I suggest you don't do it. You can go on eBay or... There's online actually a lot of places that sell these cameras already pre-done for you. I don't really know of the top of my head right now what those places are, but I know there are places that do it. And now we are at the sensor, and this part is extremely sensitive to dust and touches from your hands. So be very, very careful while pulling this out of there. As you see, I'm pulling left and right slowly, and that's our sensor. And the infrared light is that red glass you see right there, and that is what we have to somehow take out. How we're gonna do that, I don't know yet. That's a good start, but I think you can just actually pry it out. How good that's gonna work, I have no idea. So I am actually experimenting right now in real time as you watch this video. So if something goes wrong, I will definitely let you know. As you see, it has an like a rubber around it, and you can lift it up. Let me take it out of here if I can. And now this is the raw sensor. That part, it looks like it's coated, right? And you would think, oh, I'm gonna take some parts of it. No, 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 no. Do not even think of touching that. Otherwise, you have bigger problems in your hands than you previously thought. Now, can I take this gasket out of here and put it back around the sensor? I don't know. Looks like we cannot do that, because this is the filter that we needed to take out. I'm gonna put it here on the side, and this gasket, it will not be easy to be put back on, and I don't think I should risk trying to put it back on. I'm just gonna put it on the side, gone by gone. I'll be very careful not to touch the sensor. And this is the time that we try to wiggle it back inside. There's a connector right there where our ribbon goes inside. I'll have to wiggle it slowly, as carefully as possible, to plug it back where it was. Because I don't really have a better way to do this one, except for my own hands. And if you're patient enough, slowly wiggling it, it went fully back inside, and now we are ready to put the screws the way we took them out. As we made these little squares here, let me show you on camera real quick. That's the squares we made that are correctly with the camera itself. And we take those screws one by one and put them back in the camera where they belong. First, we start with the inner screws right here that are for the sensor. The lower one goes to the lower hole right here, as you see on the bottom here. We put this a little bit up so you guys can see what we're doing. Is I want you guys to have this in your mind if you're doing the same exact thing as me. So you can use this layout here to not forget where things are. The second one here and the third one right here. So remember, we are still on the red, right? So since we're still on the red, we have to start putting the stuff that belongs to the red, and it would be one of them this right here. Okay, so right after that, we go in with the screen. Then after the screen, as we know, is going to be the buttons. So we follow the proper line of putting the things back in if we can. And this is another one of those that you'll have to wiggle extremely carefully until it goes back in place. Okay, let me tell you one thing. I did not have fun putting this ribbon back in. That was not fun at all. But it's back in, and that's what matters. I had to take this shield out and push it very slowly back in place, because these ribbons are extremely sensitive, so be very careful with them. And looks like it's aligned pretty good now. Yep, I'm gonna put this adhesive where it was before, is those engineers that put it there knew something, and I'm not gonna go against their word. Okay, so now we have one screw in this corner that looks like we took for no reason. Okay, don't forget this tiny flap here goes on the side. It's just a piece of rubber. If you install a dummy battery, it's at this door, and it goes just like that. Okay, this one is in place. We need to put these other two screws on the other side, so we start getting it back together and see if it works. It was all a bit easier than I thought, even though not the easiest, but you know, after I edit the video it will seem easier, because you will not see me cussing and running, so that's good. Okay, now we have these two tiny screws right here too. Remember, that's why we did that layout there, so we know where everything goes one by one. One thing I almost forgot here. Can you guys guess what I almost forgot? This beauty right here. And that's gonna be our buttons. You know, small detail, nothing big, just the buttons that somehow will have to be inserted there. Should be good enough, I think. It should technically go in there without a big fight, but if it's looking for a fight it will have. Oh, boom! Just like people at Sony did it. Wow, I'm surprised I don't work for Sony. They didn't kidnap me to work for them by force or something. Anyway, let's put these two tiny screws back again and see how that works. Boom. We almost forgot the buttons. Where was I going without buttons? I have no idea. Boom. Now the buttons are in, plugged in good. This flap wants to take a ride again, but it's gonna go back in there. Okay, so now we have the front. It should be fun. Let me close this door real quick so the flap doesn't start running. Okay, I'm starting from the left side. Looks like it wants it better. Okay, it's snapping in place good. Buttons click good. That means it's aligned. Okay, so everything, just make sure all the gaps are closed. Of course, the flap is gonna give us some hard time here. And okay, the flap is straightened up now. Let's put the screws back in. Just how we took them out. Remember these layouts? Take the first lower right. I know it seems like it doesn't matter, but trust me, it matters. You learn it as a practice, and you will love yourself for doing it this way later on in life. Even if you're my age, which is before dinosaurs, back in the 1900s, believe it or not. Okay, insert them all and see where it goes. And the last screw, and we are done. Okay, so remember, these two squares here were not for no reason. Now we have no screws left, and we kept good track. This is what we removed from there. It's nonsense now. Well, let me find a battery and hope the camera actually turns on. So if that doesn't turn on, then yeah, we kind of failed. Okay, here's the battery, and this is the moment of the truth. I don't have a card on it. I probably should find that first, but okay, the battery's holding in. Okay. Oh, it actually turned on. Whoa. Okay, not sure if you guys can see this. That is just taking pictures nicely. Now you have to play with the effects, and you lower the exposure, increase the exposure, and this looks really nice actually. Okay, auto 720, shooting mode, this or this, best scene selection. You have night portrait. What is that supposed to mean? Ooh, that's way too much light. Well, I call this a success, even though it would need to be further tested and with other stuff, so I'll probably do the next best thing, to take some pictures outside and show you guys what it looks like. It's just my hand. Actually, the pictures look very crisp. Right here, they look really good. Let me see if the zoom still works. No internal memory, delete all images. Yes. Okay, we know that. Let me see if it zooms in again. Yeah, the zoom works. In and out. Does the video work? I don't have a card on it, so maybe a memory card is required. Okay, so it works. That's all we need. And the stuff comes in and out. Boom. So this is perfect. I'll take some video and photo with it real quick, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoy your camera. Now I don't know much more about what to exactly do with after this mod, but I'm sure you can learn a thing or two on the internet, and we'll see you next time. Please like and subscribe. Bye!